Hello, friends and music lovers. Welcome back. This is Ryan from Lion Bold Records, and today we're going to be talking about making music with technology. If you've never composed music with technology before, that's okay. I'm going to show you what I did on a recent composition where I composed the entire thing in Logic with no real instruments, no microphones, just a laptop and a MIDI controller. So let's take a look at that. I'll show you my setup and what I did in Logic. Alright, as you can see, we're over here in Logic. I have an instrumental track that I composed. No matter what kind of songwriter you are, instrumentals are really important. But I'll just play this track for you so you could hear it. This one is kind of a film, movie score, orchestral type of track. You don't have to make tracks like that. In fact, most commercials prefer kind of the acoustic pop, very, very happy sound, but this one is very cinematic. Take a listen and I'll leave the click on just to protect the person who ends up buying this track, but here we go. So yeah, this was a pretty straightforward piece, 3 parts. It's a variation on a theme. So it started out kind of soft, and then the middle part was kind of middle volume, and then it ended in a bigger way, but all kind of on the same theme. So yeah, you might not be into this type of music making, and that's okay. But what I want to show you is just the fact that everything here, it's all MIDI. Right, so everything, the strings, the brass, and even the percussion down here, it's all MIDI instruments. Here, let me actually solo some stuff out for you. So this piano over here, it's not a real piano. It's just this MIDI instrument that I have. And I actually got this for free when I bought my MIDI controller. And I think it has a really cool sound. And I just performed it digitally, you know, and it's a great way to demo out songs. I would consider this probably it depends on whoever is going to purchase it, really. They could buy this and put it straight into a video of their own, or they could consider this a demo too, and eventually have this arranged for a real orchestra if they liked it enough. I don't know if anyone will do that for this piece. But yeah, here I'll solo out some strings for you. That's a nice string sound. And then when all the instruments are added together, it really turns into something nice and big. A little bit of tom-toms. Very epic. Woodwinds. Some secondary parts to fill it in, give it some energy. So yeah, that's what I did for this piece, which it was pretty fun to make, and I personally really like making these epic soundtracks. But maybe you don't make soundtracks quite like this. Maybe you just want to write some pop music, some awesome pop music, and you can, of course, use MIDI as well when doing that. And I'll show you kind of my process to composing with music technology in Logic right now. All right, so I made a new session in Logic, and I pulled up just 3 instruments to start: a piano, a bass, and a drum set. And they're all MIDI instruments. I'll show you which ones I used right here. I have Contact Player, so it's a really cool software that gives you the ability to load up all kinds of instruments. Here's some of the ones that I have. But I pulled up a really cool plugin called Alicia's Keys, and it has a great piano sound. Really nice sound. And it's included in Contact. I'll show you what bass sound I'm using. It's just an electric bass. So pretty straightforward there. And then the third instrument is Studio Drummer, also a Contact instrument. Right, so pretty standard sounds. You probably have instruments just like these already. I know that with Logic, there's a ton built in right here if you click this library button. And I don't have them downloaded, but they're great places to start. Great instruments. There's just tons of them. All kinds of synths, guitars, bass, drums, all that great stuff. So when I'm starting, it's really important to determine a really great tempo. And then I'll just let the click run, I'll hit record, and start demoing out some song ideas until I can get something really good to loop, like a good section of music, a good idea that I can start with and play with once I have it recorded. Here we go. Alright, so I have this chunk of piano right here, and what I'll do is make sure that's locked to the grid. So I just double clicked this region here to pull up this MIDI editor, and since this is a demo, I don't really care about realism yet. I'm just going to select it all and just lock it to the grid over here in a way that makes sense. Great, so now it should sound perfect. Right, so I played like little flammy type things, little grace notes, and the software kind of butchered those, turned them into just right on the beat notes, you know. So that's a little drawback. But for this demo, I'm trying to create a loop. So I can only really achieve that if everything's perfect. So I trimmed the beginning and the end, so I can then make a perfect loop. So if I zoom out, I could drag this, and it's really easy in Logic. Just make sure you drag in the upper part, not the bottom part. And now I have a perfect loop of this idea. Great. Now I will move to my next instrument, bass guitar right here. And I think I'm just gonna let it play, and I'll enter with the bass, just playing the roots, you know, just to get a little arrangement going. Cool. So I kind of changed my mind halfway through that. I thought I would go slow, but I wanted to maybe introduce a little bit of rhythm. So I'm going to actually take this middle loop right here, where I add that rhythm. Cool. So I'm going to trim this back right there. And then all of this in the beginning I didn't really want. I think it starts right here. Let's double check. Right there. So let's listen back on that. Cool. I'm just going to trim this to help with the loop. I did make a little mistake here, I think. Yeah. Let's bring that up. Just a little bit of editing. And I'm going to drag this over here. Loop it out. All right, and this is what we got so far. Oh, that didn't loop perfectly. And if we look really closely right here, it's because this little divot here, it's not exactly where it needs to be. So let's fix that really quick. If we zoom in, so here's the thick line that delineates the beat. So I need to pull that in actually. And now, perfect. Okay, let's quantize this really quick. Probably should have done that first. All right, that sounds really good. Sweet. All right, and now I'm just going to repeat the same thing for the drums using Studio Drummer. And I'm just going to jam over this and get some ideas out on the keyboard. Of course, we're playing drums on the keyboard, so that's a kind of a skill in its own. But let's just see what happens here. I'm going to turn these down a little bit. All right, cool. So some of that's good, some of that's bad. But let's just listen through really quick and see what we got. I'm looking just for a really good performance in just one section that I could loop over and over. So let's take a listen to those drums. That's actually pretty cool right there. I might want to keep that just for the beginning. Okay, cool. So let's make a little arrangement here. Bass comes in. Nice. Okay, cool. Actually, you know, it's all really similar. Enough where I might not need to loop it at all. Yeah, a little quantization makes magic happen. Since we pulled this back, let's finish the loop there. All right, so we have like a little demo of maybe a first verse, just one part of the song, which can get me started then on writing lyrics, right? So I can get in the zone with this little intro, build it up with a drum entrance, and then right when the bass kicks in, that's when I might start thinking of lyrics and exactly how the lyrics are going to flow. It's grooving. And then I don't have to drag this very far out to get a loop. Actually, in Logic, I can just loop it all right here. So if I want to work on the first line of verse 1, it'll contain the playback just within this yellow bar here. And then I just bring, you know, my pad and paper and get lyric writing, and then later when I think I have something good, I'll create a new track and record some scratch vocals, and that's how I demo out a new song. And I think this process is awesome because it gets me away from the limitations of maybe playing the same, you know, 2 or 3 chords on the guitar. It has more of a band feeling, so I can have the vision of the end result right away when I'm starting to write. So I think that's kind of cool. If you want to try it out, I definitely recommend Logic. You can do this in GarageBand as well. And if you have a copy of Pro Tools, I actually do this a lot more often in Pro Tools. I love Pro Tools. So yeah, I hope this video was really helpful. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. And thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.